Good Saturday morning. Rev here this morning. It is the last day of April, April 30th. Tomorrow's Sunday. Don't forget worship, 9 o'clock in Verdon, 10:30 in Girard, 10:30 online. I hope you're safe and well and blessed this morning. I'm still fighting off this cough, so apologies in advance when I cough my way through this thing. Hopefully it'll be gone here soon. I'm going to read from Mark chapter 16 this morning. We may have been here before, but the devotion won't be the same. Mark 16, verses 1 through 8. When the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome brought spices so that they might go to anoint Jesus' body. Very early on the first day of the week, just after sunrise, they were on their way to the tomb, and they asked each other, "Who will roll the stone away from the entrance of the tomb?" But when they looked up, they saw that the stone, which was very large, had been rolled away. As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in a white robe sitting at the right side, and they were alarmed. "Don't be afraid," he said. "You're looking for Jesus the Nazarene who was crucified. He is risen. He is not here. See the place where they laid him. But go and tell his disciples and Peter, he is going ahead of you into Galilee, and there you will see him just as he told you." Trembling and bewildered, the women went out and fled from the tomb. They said nothing to anyone because they were afraid. This is the word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. Do you guys like cliffhangers? Shows that end with, you're not real sure what happens. Remember the big Who Shot JR thing, cliffhanger? Yeah, that was quite a deal. Well, Mark's gospel account here, it's a bit of a cliffhanger. He tells a story about women going to the tomb. They had spices that they were going to anoint Jesus' body. Not embalm him, but they were going to anoint him. And of course, they wondered how they were going to roll away the stone. But when they got there, they found out the stone had already been rolled away. And there was this young man dressed in white, an angel, sitting there. He was there for proof. Probably it was he that had rolled away the stone, and he that had taken care of the guards. And the women, well, they were alarmed. But he reassures them. He says to them, "Don't be afraid. Don't be alarmed. I got some good news for you. You're looking for Jesus the Nazarene, and he's not here. He has risen." And then there's more proof there in verse 6. He says, "Look," he said, here's where they laid him. Right here. You can see it. And then he says, "You need to go tell the disciples and Peter." The disciples and Peter. Now, why Peter? Wasn't Peter a disciple anymore all of a sudden? No, it's not that. Is that special emphasis was given to Peter because of the great boasts that Peter had made before, and then his denial. The personal word to Peter points to God being behind this whole event. It demonstrates God's compassion and his perfect wisdom. It's evidence of the resurrection. Now, the ladies, they were so afraid that they told no one. That is, at least on the way to tell the disciples and Peter. I mean, who was going to believe them anyway? Most other people would have thought they were crazy. In fact, when we start reading on in different accounts, we find that the disciples thought their words were nonsense. Very possible that the Roman authorities would have accused them of stealing the body. And then we come to verse 8, and this is kind of the cliffhanger part here. It ends with the conjunction because. Now, the English language has tried to clean this up a little bit, but the fact is it ends with this conjunction because. Maybe because Mark got interrupted. Maybe a scroll broke at the copyist's place. Maybe it ends with because the story it hasn't ended yet. The story of the resurrection is not the end of the story. It actually is the end of the beginning of the story. Excuse me. The gospel story, my friends, continues in the lives of the women and the gathered disciples. The gospel story continues in the lives of its first hearers, in the lives of you and me, and it will continue in the lives of those that we tell. You see, for the person of faith, resurrection is it's a fact of our daily life. When the power of addiction is defeated, when broken bodies are healed, when guilt is forgiven, when anger is overcome, when failure is transformed, when barriers are broken down, when community is established, the risen Christ is at work. The power to transform has been let loose in the world. And nothing can stop it. Not even death itself. Jesus Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. I'm Pastor Mark. Love you guys. Be safe, be well, be blessed, be strong. Go do something for Jesus. I will see you tomorrow in worship. And by the way, we're taking communion tomorrow. So for those of you who will worship online and want to have some elements there that you can participate with us, I would suggest that you do so. So you can participate with us in Holy Communion. God bless you. See you tomorrow.